All right, hey, we're back, and this week we're going to talk a little bit about what you got to do to your yard. You got one of these, see all that junk in the yard? But Rich and I, we don't know what we're supposed to do, so we're bringing in a professional to show you exactly what needs to be done to your yard when the leaves start falling. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after this.
Here I come to save the day.
The Mighty House crew is on the job. This is Mighty House.
Hey guys, we're back. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, click on that bell so you get notified the next time we actually do something and get it posted. And then also, leave a note down below because we'll always answer your questions right there. And you can go to not MikeNowak.net, although you can go there. Yeah. But try MightyHouse.net first, and then you can sign up for the newsletter, and you'll find out all the new great stuff we've got going on. So we're going to introduce the big guy right now, right in here somewhere. Is going to pop. There he is. Hey, Mike, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Mike.
I'm doing great. I was going to talk about how professional you were, and you got the whole YouTube thing and the channel, and go subscribe and hit the bell, and then you just completely ruined it.
Botched it big time. I mean, but that's how I do it, you know.
I'm telling you, if you want to tell people every week to go to MikeNowak.net, that's fine with me.
Sure.
All right, you just go ahead and say that.
Because you'll post this video there.
Oh yeah, we could do that too. We just put it on Mike's YouTube page. So Mike and I and Rich, we've known each other for a couple 3 years or so, and so Mike does his own gardening and green. What do you call that kind of show? What are you doing?
Gardening, environment, sustainability, green living, all of that stuff.
So we figured, why not bring the professional in, tell us what we need to do to the outside of our yard to get the grass ready to go, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to, make sure you hit his website too. Like I said, Mike Novak.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, you can go to MikeNowak.net, and of course, we're also on YouTube. Not nearly as many followers and subscribers as Mighty House, but maybe by being on Mighty House, I will start to get some of those folks. We will post this on our YouTube page as well.
Okay.
But you can go to the Mike Novak Show on YouTube, and as you can see, it's spelled behind me. It's spelled with a W and not a V.
Sorry, I don't mean to bop you in the head there. Right there.
There you go. There you go.
All right. So
and we had to bring Mike in because if we were going to do about a gardening show, or not a gardening show, but how to take care of your lawn, unfortunately, when you Google, all you're going to get are Scots.
Right.
And these are all the things that these are the only things we've been told not to do because it's a system designed to require the next step.
Correct.
So it's just a money laundering.
Well, and
scheme.
The way you get around that is when you Google something or your search engine of choice, maybe DuckDuckGo,
yes,
or Firefox, you put organic in front of it, put organic lawn care, because on my show we talk a lot about natural ways of doing things. I'm not big into chemicals, and really. A lot of times they're quite unnecessary. So that's why I urge people to go in that direction. Even if you can't go cold turkey, that's okay. There are strategies you can employ. So are we going to start with lawns? Is that what we're going to start with?
So let's go right to the yard, in the grass. What should we do to get ready for winter? Do we just knock it down to nothing, put the mower as low as you can and cut it and leave it alone for spring? Or what should we be doing?
Well, I know that's the way you take care of everything, Ron. It doesn't matter whether it's annuals, perennials, lawn. He just gets the mower out and just goes.
Yes, because he saw that one movie. He said, well, that's a mulch, and that's beneficial to your lawn. But he just figures mowing it over.
But I'll tell you, there's some truth in that, and that what Ron's doing is not horrible. I mean, it's part of the process. Here's what I will say about lawns right now, and I guess this is going to air in the next couple of days.
Sure.
Which is the middle of September in the northern climes in the northern Midwest.
But it'll still be middle of September down here.
Yeah.
No, not down there. No, that you guys.
We got the exact same time thing. We're off by like an hour.
Oh, really? Is that all? Okay.
That's it.
I never realized that. I've just learned something here today. But you also have different kind of grasses. You have the warm season grasses there. We have the cool season grasses here. And the cool season grasses are actually starting to pick up because they like the cool weather. That's why we call them cool season grasses. And the number one thing you need to know about this time of year in the upper Midwest is that this, or anywhere pretty much the northern tier of the country, this is the best time to work on your lawn. You mentioned Scott's earlier, and all the big companies they hit you hard in spring because the people don't know any better. But if you really want to work on your lawn, this is the time, because what happens is, if you fertilize, if you core aerate, if you do other things to the lawn, it gets it ready for the spring. And so there are a couple of things you could do. Let's talk first about fertilization.
Okay.
If you're gonna fertilize, if you're a lazy gardener and you want to be a lazy gardener and still have a halfway decent, yes, you're the guy. Okay.
I agree. That's me.
Okay. So,
President accounted for, sir.
and all you have to do is fertilize once a year, and it's in the fall. Boom, done. And I like organic fertilizers. There's a lot of good companies out there. There's Spoma and Dr. Earth and Ringer, and if you just look up organic fertilizers, you'll see a bunch. Milorganite is.
Are those going to have? Are they going to have the familiar numbers? The three numbers. The
numbers are going to be lower, and I'm glad you asked that. And the numbers are NPK, which is nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. And all of them will be much lower than you get in the synthetic fertilizers, which could have as high as, for nitrogen, 29% by weight in a bag of fertilizer. The problem with that is that the lawn can't possibly absorb all that. And where does it go? It goes into our water table, and then it goes to places like Lake Erie, and we have algae blooms. Phosphorus is a serious problem now. A lot of states have banned phosphorus use on your lawn. In Illinois, where I'm located, and I know people watch you from all over the country, but in Illinois, as a homeowner, you can put phosphorus down on your lawn. If you're an applicator, if you're a professional, you have to have an explicit reason for doing that. You have to show that there's a phosphorus deficiency. And often there's much more phosphorus in your soil than you think. I had a soil test done in my backyard, and the phosphorus was through the roof, and I had no idea why. The calcium was through the roof. And I went, that's crazy. I don't fertilize very much, if
calcium. It's calcium's from all the bodies buried back there.
Chicago, after all. Okay,
Right.
So, and that's the other thing. While I'm talking about it, get a soil test so you know exactly. This is the kind of thing you guys are going to advise when you're working on homes. Is do it scientifically.
Sure.
And one of the ways to do it scientifically is to get a soil test. And if you don't know how to do that, you can go to your extension service in your state. All 50 states have extension services, and type in the name of your extension service. So for instance, I typed in Illinois Extension soil test, boom, a list of soil test facilities comes up, and you can do that. Now's a really great time. It's also a good time to core aerate. And folks want to know, well, what's core aeration? It's where you take the machine.
Get those shoes with the spikes on them, and you wear them when you're cutting the grass.
One of the biggest myths of all about it is, no, you cannot core aerate your lawn by walking in spiked shoes on your lawn.
Is that the machine that puts goose poo all over your yard?
Exactly. It
looks like goose
all
poo
over your yard, which is not really goose poo, but it's just the soil cores that you bring up to the surface of your lawn, and they decompose within a matter of a couple of weeks, and so you won't even know they were there. But here's what I always suggest as well. So if your lawn is looking patchy, and you think it's kind of hard pan and you'd like it to be softer, that's when you go in and core aerate, make the tilt of the soil better. You bring those cores up on the surface of the lawn and add a quarter to half an inch of compost. sifted compost, because you don't want leaves and twigs in there. You want sifted compost. It will fall into the holes, and now you've got some oxygen going in there, and you've got good tilth going in there, and then you overseed. So you core aerate, throw some compost down, you overseed, meaning you take some seed and you sprinkle it in the bare patches, and because you've put down compost, it's going to have good contact with soil, and then you have to make sure it germinates properly, which means you got to water it pretty good, and not deeply. This is the one time you don't want to water deeply. You want to water lightly until the grass seed germinates, which means you might have to go out if it's it is the fall, so things are cooler and the water doesn't evaporate as quickly. But you can sprinkle like once or twice a day just to make sure that it stays moist, and then when it germinates in the fall now, and I would say do it fairly quickly because we're getting towards the end of that period. It kind of depends on what is any given season like, any given year, sometimes.
Right. Yeah, we don't know when you're going to get your first frost. We don't know if you're going to get the Indian summer where it just continues for another 4 weeks. So.
Exactly. In which case you're golden, you're good. But if you get that early frost, it's tougher. So I would say, since we're still in September, now's the time to do that kind of work. Go out tomorrow and start getting that done. And what it does is it gives your lawn a head start going into spring. You will have the germination now, and then you add a little bit of the fertilizer that goes into the soil and prepares the lawn for the winter. And the other thing you do is what we advise in natural lawn care is cut high, mow high all the time, 3.5 to 4 inches if you can stand it. Because a lot of people just can't deal with that. They're kind of they get freaked out by long lawns, long blades of grass. But I'm telling you, it's healthier, because how does a plant manufacture energy?
It's photosynthesis through the leaves. So.
It's in the leaves. So if the leaf is like this, you've got a certain amount of energy. If it's like this, you've got more energy going into the roots, which makes the roots tougher and more able to withstand drought. And that's why you want to mow high. However, in the fall, what you can do is, if you're going to dethatch or core aerate, you can cut it a little shorter before you do that. And certainly for the last mow of the season, cut it to like 2 inches. You don't want to scalp it. Don't scalp it. But you can cut it lower than you normally do, because then it helps prevent winter diseases like snow mold. And that's one of the. So the 2 times of the year when you can cut it 2 inches.
I don't think we get that.
What?
You don't think we get snow mold here?
No, I don't think you do. Rich, I'm not talking to you at all. Okay.
No, I'm on board with the whole cut it tall thing, because we average 92 degrees a day and a lot of sun, and when you cut it short, your yard will dry out in a heartbeat, and we have to then do irrigation. And when you do irrigation, all those nasties get rinsed into the stormwater, which then end up in our canals and the Gulf, and because I'm on the Gulf side,
right?
And we have red tide, algae blooms, all these things that you don't want, and people don't realize. We just blame Big Sugar. It's in the middle of the state. It's all their fault.
It's always
people
Big Sugar,
do, but people do this all the time around here. So I'm on board.
And mowing high is does a couple of wonderful things. It turns a lawn into its own mulch and its own pesticide, or rather herbicide. Because what happens is when you mow higher, the water stays down. It holds the water better. It doesn't evaporate, as you mentioned, so quickly. But also, it shades out weed seeds, so it's harder for them to germinate. So just mowing higher and then leaving the clippings on your lawn, I always advise folks do that, because that's putting nitrogen right back into your soil. And let's get to leaves, because you've got the leaves on the background of that house there. They're your best friend. They are so your best friend. Yes, if you got them on the lawn, you don't want them to mat down. So get your mulching mower and chop them up. And then they will decompose. And now they're adding nutrients into the soil as well. And if you've got too many, throw them in your garden beds. You can dig and we'll get that when we start talking gardens, but you don't have to have them completely cover your lawn. If you mow them with a mulching mower, they're going to break down and they're adding nutrients to your soil.
Excellent. Okay, so let's move on here with the garden beds and your flower beds. Just walk through through there with the mower, knock it all down to nothing, throw your loose leaves over the top of it, it's done. Is that how you work?
No, that's not how I work.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's how you work, Ron. What I do, you have to be selective. All right, what have you just grown? Did you grow vegetables? Did you grow perennials? Did you grow annuals? Do you have native plants? One of the things you want to do is help the wildlife in your area. And by wildlife, mainly, I'm talking insects, although we're talking other kinds of wildlife as well, like birds. So if you grew coneflower, it's got the seed heads that can persist over the winter, and the finches will come and feed off of your coneflowers. Same thing with Joe Pyeweed, which I have in my yard, and Monarda and other plants. And the other thing that they do, if you leave some of those stalks up, and you don't have to do it with everything. If a plant had a disease or a problem, yank it out of there. Don't put it in your compost pile. Throw it away. This is the one time I advocate people throwing away their plant material, but if it had a disease, and that's especially with diseases in the vegetable part of your garden.
Okay. Sure.
But even with vegetables, if the plant was healthy and it just died back at the end of season, you can leave it. It's going to provide a kind of mulch. But if you have stems sticking up, this is a place where some of our solitary bees can go in. Mason bees can find homes there. Leaving litter, leaf litter and other kinds of litter on the floor are good for insects. They overwinter. If you want fireflies, you've got to leave some leaves down, because this is how fireflies overwinter. Everybody bemoans the fact that we don't see fireflies the way we used to. Well, it's because we're cleaning up our areas, our lawns too much. We're being neatness freaks, and it hurts some of our populations, our insect populations. So there's a lot of activity going on under the leaves in your garden. So what I do when the leaves come down, I get most of them off of my lawn and I just rake them into my garden beds. Sometimes I don't even chop them up because I know that come May next year, they're all going to be breaking down and providing nutrients for the garden. And in the meantime, they're providing mulch and helping protect my plants from the ravages of winter. If you get down to 25 below, you're going to be happy that you had some leaves in your garden protecting those beds.
Excellent. All right. Well, with that, I think we're going to take a break, and we're going to move to a part 2 here in a second. So stay tuned for the next couple of weeks. We're going to have part 2 on what we need to do for our trees and bushes, because we're going to wrap this one up right now. Gardens, we talked about the gardening and the grass and stuff like that. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, click that bell, and of course, go to MikeNovak.net and check out Mike's show there. And you can also find him on YouTube. What's your YouTube channel?
The Mike Nowak Show.
Just go right there, and he'll get it. And I'll put a link to that right down below also. So until
there you go.
Until what are we going to do? How do we do this? Keep it square and level, right, Sonar? Yeah. Is that how you do it? Okay. Yes. Keep it square and level until
next time.
There you go.
Something like that.
I just find I find new ways to screw this up every time.
Yes.
Or go green or go home.
Yeah. There you go.